want you to take a second right now, actually, and just think about how you started your morning today. Try to really visualize those first few moments right after your eyes opened. If we were to play that tape back at a slightly slower speed, taking our time to really look at the mechanics of it, what exactly would we see?
Right. Was it rushed?
Exactly. Did you feel like you were just instantly behind schedule, racing against the clock the second your feet hit the floor? Or, was it planned, peaceful, and deliberate?
It is a really vital question to ask. And I think we often rush through the discussion of our routines because, well, they seem so mundane.
Yeah, they do.
But the way we choose to open our day often dictates the entire rhythm that follows. We tend to gloss over the small decisions, but today we are going to slow things down. We're going to take a very measured pace and really examine the architecture of a single day.
That is exactly the mission of this deep dive. We are looking at a piece of source material simply titled The Rhythms of the Day.
It's a great piece.
It really is. It's a detailed, candid conversation outlining the exact daily routines of two individuals, Emma and Alex. And on the surface, it might just look like a basic itinerary, just a list of times and tasks.
For a schedule.
Right. But our goal today is to deftly deconstruct those schedules. We want to discover how incredibly simple, deliberate micro habits actually shape their entire waking experience. Okay, let's unpack this, starting with the very first moments of the morning.
The contrast right out of the gate is what stands out to me. We are presented with two very distinct wake-up calls. One of our individuals is a 6 a.m. riser, while the other specifically prefers to sleep a little more and wakes up at 7 a.m.
I want to pause on that for just a second, because we live in a culture that heavily romanticizes the extreme early riser.
Oh, absolutely, the hustle culture.
Yeah, there is this pervasive idea that if you aren't up at 4:30 in the morning, you are already losing, but the source text doesn't assign moral value to the hour.
No, it doesn't.
The 7 a.m. riser unapologetically prefers to sleep a little more. The magic isn't in the specific hour on the clock. It is in the immediate micro habits that follow.
That is a crucial distinction. It is about what you do with the time you have claimed for yourself. For the 6 a.m. riser, the very first action is brushing their teeth, followed by stepping outside for a 20-minute walk.
A 20-minute walk right away.
Right. They explicitly note in the text that this walk helps them feel fresh. Sometimes they add in some simple exercises, but that walk is their anchor.
Now compare that to the 7 a.m. riser. They have a completely different indoor approach. They brush their teeth, wash their face, drink a glass of water, and then do a 5-minute stretching routine.
Just 5 minutes.
Right. No extreme fitness boot camps. Just a glass of water and 5 minutes of stretching.
What's fascinating here is the underlying philosophy they both share, despite those logistical differences.
What do you mean?
Well, neither of them reaches for a device. Neither of them jumps straight into work or starts checking emails. Instead, they both prioritize immediate, gentle physical engagement before doing anything else.
Ah, I see.
For one, it is the fresh air of a walk. For the other, it is hydration and physical stretching. They're establishing a baseline of physical grounding.
But let's play devil's advocate for a moment here. A 20-minute walk right away. I can hear people listening to this and thinking, I barely have time to find my keys in the morning, let alone go for a leisurely stroll.
Yeah, it sounds like a luxury.
Exactly. It sounds great in theory, but is it just a luxury of someone with a completely undemanding schedule?
I'd argue it is the exact opposite. It isn't about having a surplus of time. It's about the discipline of protecting that specific window.
Right.
They aren't doing a 20-minute walk because they have nothing else to do.
Yeah.
They're doing it because it guarantees they start the day in a proactive state rather than a reactive one.
That makes sense.
And look at the 7 a.m. riser. They only take 5 minutes to stretch. 5 minutes. Anyone has 5 minutes. It is the consistency of the habit, not the duration, that sets the tone.
Moving from physical grounding to the next logical step, we have to talk about how they fuel themselves. This brings us to a really clear split in the source material regarding breakfast.
Yes.
And again, we see this concept of bio-individual pacing.
Food is highly personal, and our two subjects don't try to force a one-size-fits-all diet on themselves. They approach it based entirely on what their individual systems require to function.
Right. So one of them opts for a very traditional hearty plain eggs, bread, and sometimes fruit.
A big breakfast.
Yeah. And importantly, they pair this with coffee. They clearly state in the source, I love coffee. It helps me wake up. But then we look at the other individual. Their routine consists of oatmeal, bananas, and sometimes milk. And they specifically drink tea because, in their own words, Coffee is too strong for me.
That level of self-awareness is subtle but highly effective. Recognizing that a certain stimulant is just too jarring for their personal system, so they make a very conscious choice to opt for tea.
Yeah.
They aren't drinking coffee just because it is the cultural default for mornings.
Yeah.
They know their own pace. But despite these different menus and caffeine choices, they actually share a very firm mutual belief.
They both explicitly agree on this exact point in the breakfast is very important.
Very important.
There is no skipping it to rush out the door. It is a non-negotiable pillar of their morning. But I want to shift gears slightly because right after they eat, they step into a habit that I think will resonate with almost everyone listening.
Oh, the information diet.
The post-breakfast information diet.
The transition from fueling the body to fueling the mind. Or, in many modern cases, totally overwhelming the mind.
We all know the reflex. You finish your breakfast, and the immediate instinct is to grab the phone and start reading the news. It is practically muscle memory at this point.
It really is.
But the way they handle this reflex is what makes their routine so interesting. When asked if they spent a lot of time on their phone, the response in the text is incredibly precise.
Yeah.
They say, not really, only 10 minutes.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, setting a strict time boundary for news consumption is an exercise in controlling your inputs.
Controlling the inputs.
Yes. They mutually agree on the reality of the situation, noting that many people spend too much time on phones. So they acknowledge the trap, but they don't completely abstain from the modern world.
Right. They aren't monks.
Exactly. They allow themselves to connect and gather information, but by capping it at exactly 10 minutes, they prevent the news cycle from dictating their mood for the rest of the day.
10 minutes sounds completely reasonable on paper, but let's be honest about the friction of actually doing that.
That's hard.
Is it really realistic to put the phone down after 10 minutes when your inbox is already blowing up or when a major news story is breaking? How are they managing the anxiety of disconnecting so quickly?
That is the real challenge, isn't it? The friction is immense, but I think the key lies in the sequence of their morning.
Okay, tell me more about that.
But think about it. They have just spent the last hour stretching, walking, and eating a deliberate breakfast. They have built a solid foundation of calm. The 10-minute limit works because they aren't using the phone to wake up. They're just checking in before moving on.
Checking in, not checking out.
Precisely. They control the technology. They don't let it become a black hole that just consumes their morning momentum.
It is a deliberate boundary. And that boundary acts as a bridge right into their workday, which brings us to how they handle the commute and their overall work architecture.
Two totally different setups here.
Right. The commute is notoriously one of the most stressful parts of the modern workday. Let's look at how they navigate it.
One individual takes a 30-minute bus ride to the office.
And instead of complaining about public transit, they actually seem to appreciate it. They specifically note that taking the bus is easy and cheap. Meanwhile, the other individual has an entirely different reality. They start their workday around 9 a.m., mostly working remotely from home.
No commute at all.
Exactly.
So we have the traditional office environment with a transit commute and the remote work setup. Two very different environments, but we see them applying a shared, highly structured strategy to how they actually execute their tasks once the workday begins.
They both acknowledge that work can get very busy with answering emails, joining meetings, and completing tasks. But here's where it gets really interesting. They have a highly specific strategy for pacing that workload. Every 2 hours, without fail, they take a small break.
Every 2 hours.
And during this break, they simply drink water or walk for a few minutes.
Let's linger on that for a moment. A structured break every 2 hours. It sounds basic, but implementing that requires serious discipline.
I would actually question if a strict 2-hour interruption might derail deep work. If you are in the zone, writing a report or coding, does forcing yourself to walk away every 2 hours actually hurt your productivity?
It is a totally valid concern, but the reality of cognitive endurance suggests otherwise.
How so?
Stepping away to just drink water or walk isn't a distraction, it is maintenance. By moving their physical body and hydrating, they are preventing the slow degradation of focus that happens when you stare at a screen for 4 hours straight.
Like refreshing the system.
Exactly. They are deliberately pacing themselves so they don't hit a wall by noon. It is about sustaining deep work over the long haul, rather than burning out in short bursts.
Speaking of hitting a wall, we have to talk about the universal reality of 1 p.m.
Lunchtime.
It is lunchtime. And again, we see that divide in preferences. One prefers a substantial cooked meal of rice, vegetables, and chicken.
Sounds good.
Yeah, while the other goes for simple food, like a sandwich or a salad. But regardless of the menu, they both confront the exact same post-lunch reality.
The inevitable dip in energy. They both admit in the text to feeling a little sleepy after lunch.
Which is such a refreshing admission. Instead of pretending they are operating at 100% capacity all day long, they actually acknowledge the slump.
They don't fight it.
No. The remote worker specifically uses coffee at this exact moment to push through. They drink their coffee, acknowledge the dip, and leverage that caffeine to carry them to their 5:30 p.m. finish time.
This raises an important question about how we view our own daily output. These individuals don't fight their natural rhythms, they anticipate them.
Anticipate, yeah.
They know the slump is coming, so they have a pragmatic plan for it. They aren't judging themselves for being tired. They are just managing the reality of a busy workday.
It is about working with the reality of your schedule, not fighting against it. And once that clock hits 5:30 p.m., the workday is officially over. We enter an entirely new phase of their schedule.
The evening.
And I think the way they handle their evenings requires just as much discipline as their mornings.
It is the transition from the doing phase of the day to the being phase. And in a culture that often glorifies the always-on mentality, their approach to the evening is actually quite radical.
You might expect people who are so structured to have evenings packed with networking events or intense side projects.
Right, staying productive.
But the post-work landscape detailed in the source is all about decompression. They listen to music, sometimes they watch movies or go outside for a walk. And when it comes to socializing, they are very intentional about when they expend that energy.
Yes, the social batching. When asked if they meet friends often, the answer is not every day, but sometimes on weekends. They both agree on a very specific philosophy. Weekends are the best time to relax.
I think that is a profound level of boundary setting.
Yeah.
They're intentionally keeping their weekday evenings low stakes, they're preserving their energy, and that philosophy extends right to the dinner table.
Yes, the 8 p.m. dinner.
Their strategy for their 8 p.m. dinner is highly intentional.
They deliberately choose to eat something light and healthy. The specific examples given in the text are just soup or vegetables. They explicitly state, I try to eat healthy food.
Now, choosing to eat soup at 8 p.m. requires an immense amount of discipline.
It really does.
Modern culture practically normalizes the heavy late-night takeout order after a long day of work. It is so easy to use food as a reward for getting through a busy schedule, but they are making a conscious choice to keep it light.
It is a strategic choice.
Right.
By keeping dinner light, they are essentially drawing a line under the active portion of the day.
Closing the loop.
Right. They aren't burdening their system with a heavy meal late in the evening. They are setting the stage for rest.
And that physical preparation leads right into their mental preparation for sleep. Which brings us to the final micro-habit of their routine.
The wind down.
After dinner, they might watch a show, but the absolute final step of their day is reading a book. And it isn't an open-ended reading session. It is exactly 15 minutes. 15 minutes of reading before sleeping.
The dedicated closing routine.
For our 6 a.m. riser, that means the lights are out, and they are going to sleep at precisely 10:30 p.m. They prioritize an early bedtime for one simple, undeniable reason stated in the text.
Good sleep is important.
Good sleep is important.
It sounds almost too simple, doesn't it? But think about the cascading effect of everything we've discussed today.
Yeah.
The morning walks, the 10-minute phone limit, the 2-hour work breaks, the light dinner of soup or vegetables. All of those seemingly isolated, deliberate choices are part of a unified system designed to protect that final goal.
Protecting the rest.
They aren't leaving their rest to chance. They are actively constructing a day that naturally concludes with good sleep.
So what does this all mean? If we step back and look at the complete picture of Emma and Alex from our source text, the biggest takeaway is that an effective daily routine doesn't require extreme hacks or punishing schedules.
No, it doesn't.
It is built on practical, consistent pacing. It is the wisdom of choosing hydration and a short walk over immediately diving into a stressful inbox. It is the discipline of maintaining those structured 2-hour work breaks where you actually step away from the screen, even when you are busy. It is the self-awareness to set a strict 10-minute boundary for your news consumption. And it is a quiet wind-down routine that prioritizes 15 minutes of a book over endless scrolling. It is about taking ownership of the transitional moments in your day.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
I want to leave you with a final thought to explore on your own.
Okay.
We spent this entire time analyzing the highly intentional choices of the individuals in our source text. We saw how they managed their transition zones, the friction points between waking and working, or between working and resting.
Yep.
If these individuals can shift the entire momentum of their day with just a strict 10-minute phone limit, a simple 20-minute morning walk, or exactly 15 minutes of reading at night, I want you to look at your own schedule. What is the one small 15-minute pocket of your own daily routine that you are currently leaving entirely to chance?
Oh, that's good.
And how could taking control of that small window and making it intentional completely change your rhythm?
That is a phenomenal question to end on. A huge thank you to everyone joining us as we explored the rhythms of the day. Take your time, find your pace, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.